thoughts you repeat become patterns. These patterns reinforce and create beliefs, and eventually, some of those beliefs become programs you don't even think to question anymore. So, how do you interrupt the pattern and realign with thoughts and beliefs that are actually true for you and aligned with your soul and the life that you want to create? And that is what we are going to be talking about today on Infinite You. Welcome to Infinite You, amazing souls. I'm Dr. Sheri, and here on this channel, I help you move beyond limits, align with who you truly are, and consciously create more of what you want in your life. Abundance, freedom, vitality, meaning, purpose, joy, whatever it is you came here to experience. And if these kinds of conversations that help you think differently about yourself, your life, and what you are creating, make sure you hit subscribe to this channel and give this video a like, because it really helps me know which conversations you want more of. So let's dive right in. One of the things I think is so important to understand about being human is that we are programmed. It is actually part of our divine design and how we learn to function in the world. When we are children, our brains are like sponges and we have an enormous amount to learn. Language, relationships, safety, money, success, love, conflict, what gets rewarded, what gets discouraged, what we're supposed to be doing, what we are supposed to not be doing. Our brains are incredibly plastic when we are young, and we are absorbing information from the world around us all the time before we have the maturity or perspective to question all of it. And so we ease ourselves into adulthood, right? And try to figure it all out. We learn, we repeat, neural pathways strengthen, certain thoughts and behaviors become easier and more automatic, and eventually many of the things that we learned stop feeling like things we learned. They start feeling like reality. And this is they start feeling like reality, and we begin saying to ourselves, this is just how the world works. This is just how money works. This is just how relationships work. This is just who I am. And this is why I sometimes think of the subconscious mind as kind of a tape recorder. It plays what has been installed, not because it is trying to sabotage you, not because there's anything wrong with you. It plays what has become familiar. It is just stored on the tape recorder. And the thing is that familiar becomes really powerful for us humans. But I want to make an important distinction for you. Familiar does not necessarily mean true. Familiar does not necessarily mean good for you. Familiar often just means practiced. You may have practiced the thought, money is hard to make. You may have practiced, I am not confident. I have always have to do everything myself. People like me don't get opportunities like that. I'm too old to start over. I never follow through. Maybe someone told you one of those things. Maybe you watched someone else live it. Maybe you came to that conclusion after an experience. Maybe you simply repeated the thought so many times that eventually it became part of what you believed. And once a belief becomes familiar enough, it starts influencing the way you interpret the world around you. And you know that this happens in everyday life. You see an opportunity and your first thought may be, that would be amazing. And then almost immediately you say to yourself, but I probably couldn't do that. Or you may think, I would love to make more money. And then a little voice in your head says, but making that kind of money would be really hard. Or you might think, I want to feel healthier and more alive. And then you think, well, maybe this is just what happens when I get older. And so you feel called to put yourself out there, and almost instantly you say, who am I to do that? These little conversations happen all day long. Every interaction, every possibility, every contrast, every time you have a quiet moment, every time you see something you desire, those thoughts are worth noticing because they often reveal what you currently believe, not necessarily what is true, what you have learned to believe. And this is where the loop can get really, really interesting. So let's say you see an opportunity that excites you and you think, I would love to do that, but an old belief immediately says, I'm probably not qualified enough. And so your energy shifts and your body probably contracts and your excitement disappears and you start thinking of all the reasons not to pursue it. So you don't move forward, you don't apply for that job, you don't put yourself out there, you don't initiate that conversation, you don't make that phone call, that text, whatever the case may be, and then nothing happens. So your mind says, see, opportunities like that never happened for me. And so now you have new evidence reinforcing the old program. And that is how thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, emotion, behavior, and experience can keep feeding one another. And even on a vibrational level, we know that it's true, that sinking feeling that we get in our gut, or the excitement, the opposite feeling of feeling like you are having a hell yes moment, right? So it's energetic too. And this is why conscious creation is not simply think one positive thought and everything changes. Your thoughts matter enormously, but we want to become aware of the larger conversation that they are participating in. And so it's really not about policing every one of your thoughts. You don't have to monitor every random thing that passes through your mind. But I think that it matters. We are all human. We all have fear. We have doubts. We have memories. We have the programs that have been installed. We have moments when we're tired and irritated and overwhelmed and uncertain. And the goal is definitely not to make all of that disappear, but the goal really is about becoming more aware. So more tuned in to begin noticing the thoughts that carry weight or the thoughts that are repeated. The ones that make like I said, the ones that make your body tighten, the ones that shut down possibility before you have explored it, the ones that sound less like a thought and more like a fact. That is where awareness becomes powerful, because once you recognize the program, you now have a choice. You have a way in to shift, and you can begin to ask, is that actually true for me now? And if it isn't, what do you want to reinforce instead? And this is where you can begin installing something new, not by screaming an affirmation you don't believe into the mirror, but by giving yourself new information, new thoughts, new experiences, new evidence. If you want greater wealth, learn about wealth. Study people who have created it. What did they believe to be true about themselves? How did they think about money, opportunity, value, ownership, receiving? Audit the conversations you have with yourself about money. Notice where you immediately contract around possibility and feasibility, and begin introducing beliefs that move you toward the reality you want to experience. So maybe you're not ready to say, money comes effortlessly to me. Fine, but maybe the belief could be, there may be more financial possibility available to me that I have been allowing myself to see. And that creates movement energetically in the non-physical. And the same could be true about your body and your health and the conversations you are having in your head, whatever the case may be. The bottom line is that it is all about intention. And I really love making this practical at the beginning and at the end of the day. In the morning, instead of immediately allowing yesterday's program to start running, ask, what do I want today to feel like? What do I want inside of this day? Who do I want to be in this day? And so you get to choose. I want to be present. I want to be joyful. I want to be creative. And then throughout the day, notice when your inner conversation moves away from what you choose. And the same is true at night. When you go to sleep, reflect on the new program. How did you show up differently? What did you choose differently? What did you want to reinforce? What do you want to believe as you go to sleep at night? You are giving your mind new information to work with. You are slowly beginning to shift that program. And I think that for me, this is where mindset becomes much bigger, because thoughts have an energetic quality. Beliefs have an energetic quality. They have a vibration. There's a frequency. And fear, for sure, feels differently in your body than a hell yes, than a possibility, than some new exciting thing that you're ready to jump into. Contraction, feels very different than expansion. And underneath all of our conditioning, I believe that there is a deeper part of us, our soul, our inner knowing, that helps us recognize what is actually true and aligned for us. These are the thoughts, the beliefs, the programs that will elevate us and bring us into the next version of ourselves. There is a receptive part of creation, the part that tunes in, that listens, that feels, that receives, that imagines. And I sometimes think of this, for sure, pretty much all the time actually, as the divine feminine, the feminine aspect of creation. And then there's the active, more masculine energy of choosing, of moving, of doing, of creating in the physical world, the divine masculine. And we need both. I talk about this in a lot of my videos. So tune in. Get into that space of being, tuning into the inner essence of who you are and what you're here to create, and then move into the masculine. And I think I could say it a different way too. Tune in and realize that the most aligned thing to do is not to force anything at all, because everything that we create begins. Everything that we create begins somewhere before we see it physically. We know this with a thought, an idea, a desire, a belief, a vision, an energetic orientation toward what could be. And then we participate. It's such a beautiful design. And it's kind of actually really easy if we can get above the fray of our programming. So we choose, we act, we respond, we notice, we recalibrate again and again. And this is the work. Not becoming a human being who never has an old thought again, but becoming someone who recognizes it sooner, who definitely can begin to know this is a program. It is not necessarily the truth. And then just ask, what do I choose now? And if you are beginning to recognize some of your own patterns as you listen to this is exactly why I created the Quantum Identity Playbook. It is awesome. It helps you see the loops, the beliefs, the identity patterns that may be influencing what you think you can have and become, and begin making a conscious shift in any area of your life. The beautiful thing about the playbook is you can use it again and again for money, for health, for relationships, whatever it is you would like to use it for. And so I will put that link below. I will put a link below for my free newsletter, along with my really cool and free reality shaping practice. So hop in, click those links, and see what resonates with you, because the more aware that you become of your thoughts, your beliefs, your body, the somatic, the energy around it, the frequency, and your own deeper knowing, the more choice you have. And the more choice you have, the more intentionally you can align with the whole of you, with what you actually want to experience and who you really, really are. You get to write the program. You don't have to erase your past. You do not have to become perfectly positive. You simply get to become more conscious of what you decide you would like to reinforce. And when an old program starts playing, you can hear it, you can recognize it, and you can choose again. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, keep listening to what is calling you. Keep choosing what feels true and keep becoming more of your infinite you. I will see you next time, beautiful souls. Namaste.